Right, I think we're live now.
Yes. Can you give me acts? Can you make me the co-host?
Yeah, sure.
Hi.
Hi.
So, so hey everyone, we welcome you all to for another webinar with Aspire for Her. We'll be starting shortly. I request everyone to put in the chat box which city do you belong to and what are you currently studying. Thank you all for joining in on time. We'll be starting with the webinar shortly. In the meanwhile, please do put it up in the chat box which city do you belong to and let us know about yourselves. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Let's wait for a couple of more people to join in. We'll be starting with the webinar shortly. In the meanwhile, please put it up in the chat box. Which city do you belong to and what course are you studying? Do let us know about it. We are quite excited to have you here today. Okay, we have Sai Manohar from Hyderabad and he's currently pursuing BECSC. That's amazing. Gurleen is from Gurleen is pursuing her bachelor's in computer science engineering from Mumbai, and she's very excited for this session. So are we. What about others? Please do put it up in the chat box. Let's interact before the webinar starts. Thank you everyone for joining in on time. We'll be starting up shortly. Mentees, do keep putting it because we are really excited to know more about you. From where do you belong to? What are you currently studying? Do let us know about it. And thank you so much for joining on time. We will be starting in another 5 minutes. Sambat says he's pursuing BTech in production engineering from Odisha. This is amazing. We have people from all parts of the country, almost different parts of the country, and good to see that. Please, others, do keep putting it in the chat box. Do let us know where do you belong to and what are you studying. Let us know about it. And we have John from Coimbatore pursuing BSc in mathematics. That's amazing. Maths is indeed one scary subject for most of us, but that's so good to see you pursuing BSc in mathematics. Others do keep putting it up in the chat box. Let's keep it engaged before the session starts. We have Jyoti from NIT Jamshedpur MCA second year. Wow, that's amazing. Different backgrounds, different parts of the country. Thank you so much, everyone.
I'm sure we also have a lot of data science enthusiasts. Are there any?
Do put it up. This is your time to spam the chat box. Do let us know how
You could
excited.
let us know what you're expecting from this webinar, what you're looking forward to.
Definitely, we are keeping a tab on everything, and we are really excited to read it out. Okay, so we still stuck up. Are you all really excited for today's session? Show some enthusiasm. Yes, finally we can see some enthusiasm out here. Srishti Ghosh says she's excited for this session. Aishwarya says that she's from Mumbai and pursuing BME from ISME Mumbai. Looking forward to the webinar. This is amazing. Anam is also very excited. So are we excited to have you all here. We'll be starting the session in another 2 minutes. Keep putting it up. What are your expectations from today's webinar? Please put it up in the chat box and we'll be starting up shortly. Wow, that's it? Was that the enthusiasm? Or are we really excited for more? Do let us know. And we'll be starting in another 2 minutes, but do keep the chat box buzzing. You can ask your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A tab, and we'll be taking over all the questions. So Miloni says she heard from her family members about the importance of data analytics. That's really amazing. Wow, I'm sure your entire family is interested into this. That's what made you come here. That's amazing to read. What about others? Yes. What about others? Do let us know. Do keep the chat box buzzing. We'll be starting in another 1 minute. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in on time. We have Srishti from Bangalore pursuing telecommunication engineering. She's heard from my friends about how they want to be data scientists and she wanted to understand what it really means to be one. You're at the right place, Srishti. You will for sure get all the learnings, whatever you're expecting out from today's session. And I think with this, we are good to start. Hi, everyone. I'm Srishti from MyCaptain. MyCaptain by The Climber is an online platform that helps you take the first step in your field of passion with the help of young achievers, mentors, and guides. And I welcome all of you. This webinar is in collaboration with Aspire for Her, and I would now request Yashasvi to tell us about Aspire for Her.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shrishti. So I'm Yashasvi and I'm from Aspire for Her Foundation, which is a not-for-profit organization with the mission to motivate young girls to enter and persevere into the country's workforce. We provide various career resources to ensure that this happens. Our career resources include mentoring programs and learning resources, a lot of job opportunities, and even a lot of learning resources with our amazing. And we also organize a lot of webinars with our partners like MyCaptain. I'm sure a lot of our attendees today are already members of Aspire for Her. If you're not, I would request you all to sign up via the link that will be provided in the chat shortly.
Okay, so now it's the time to introduce our guest speaker for today. Our guest speaker, Harini Suresh. Captain Harini is a BTech graduate in Computer Science and Engineering, batch of 2019. She's a lead machine learning engineer and project manager at Omdena. She's done various research papers and projects in the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning. She's been a speaker at various events. Uh, at various events ranging from AI to holistic development of women in technology. Captain Heine, we welcome you on board.
Thank you, Srishti, for that warm welcome. So, yeah, I am unable to start the video because I think you have to give access.
Yes.
Yes, I think you can turn it on now.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you both of you. So, firstly, I see that all of you are interested in knowing what data analytics is, or some people are new. Whatever it is, I think this will be a very useful session for all of you. I'll be talking about real world projects and how we deep dive into data analytics. Okay, let's make it a very good, useful session.
So without further ado, let's start with the webinar. Before starting with the presentation, we have first question we have is ready. Captain, you are a lead machine learning engineer. Could you please tell us what that means and what are your activities related to it?
Okay. So, as a lead machine learning engineer, what we do is that machine learning is all about coding. As a lead machine learning engineer, it becomes my responsibility to also build a proper problem statement along with the code building. So it's just not the code which plays an important role, but I take up the role to build the roadmap for to solve a particular problem statement. So I work with Python and also mentor students on a daily basis who join new projects.
I think there was some problem with the connection.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Was it from my end? Captain, you can continue.
So I am done with the first question. Were you guys able to hear me or?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I think there's some technical issue, but moving ahead, I will go ahead with the second question. When did your interest in the field of machine learning and data analytics begin, and how?
Okay. This is this one interesting question which have been asked at every conference and every application form I came across. So my journey with data analytics began, or machine learning began, when I was in my sophomore year in the university. One of my professors told me that there are a lot of people who lose their lives while dealing with harmful and harmless substances. So, for example, waste cleaners, they take much of their time in trying to separate hazardous waste and non-hazardous waste. So she was saying that we can have technology in there, and we can have a machine or a robot do that, so that some people will be saved. So in that way, again, some people confuse robotics with machine learning. What I mean to say is, we train the robots to differentiate between hazardous and non-hazardous waste using machine learning and data analytics. So that was when I was actually impressed, say, thinking that, okay, so we also have some good things of technology, right? How long are we going to do things out of the world? Let's just sustain in the world that we are in. And that's when I started focusing on machine learning and seeing how it can help solve real world problems, following that research papers and a lot of projects.
That's amazing. Without further delay, we'll start with the presentation. Mendees, please, we will take up the Q&A post the presentation. Uh, put up your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A tab. Over to you, Captain.
Thank you, Shishti. So can anyone confirm if you guys are able to see my screen?
Yes, Captain.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Okay. So, first of all, before we do any kind of data analytics or machine learning project, do not mind if I miss you, like if I say ML instead of data analytics, because somewhere or the other both means the same. So, before starting any project, for that matter, the three things that we keep in mind are image, text, and speech. So, with this, are you guys able to guess what I'm trying to tell? Image, text, speech. You would have come across this. So, these are the different types of data which will be used in doing a project. And the type of a project is only dependent on the data, I would say. Apart from image, text, and speech, we also have video data, which is high level, and we'll be talking about it during the end. But however, our major concentration will be image, text, and speech. A project's type mainly depends upon its data. Moving forward, the importance of problem statement. In like I think most of us over here are computer science students, even otherwise. Let's just think that the type of mathematical operations. Okay, let's talk about let's talk about mathematical operations. What are the types of operations we have? We have addition, we have subtraction, we have multiplication, and we have division. The same way, we have different types of machine learning algorithms. We need to identify which algorithm should be used for which problem. So, for example, when you say that you have to cover distance x, and you have to cover distance x and you have to cover distance y, when they ask you for the total distance, you know you have to do addition, right? The same way, based on the problem statement given, you need to see what kind of a machine learning algorithm you can apply. To start with, let me give you two examples. There's association, classification, and feature extraction. So association, what is that association? I think most of you would be familiar with this if you are, like great shoppers. So you would have come across Amazon, or even if you are, like watch serials over Netflix day and night. So association is nothing but, you would have seen that if you buy, say, for example, if you buy a shampoo, you also get a soap or something as, okay, why don't you try this with that? If you buy a whiteboard, you will also get markers along with that, right? You might also be interested. So that is called as association machine learning algorithm. So the algorithm we deal over there is association. Next, moving to classification. Classification is something like, the best example that can be taken over here is the newspaper. So we have different columns, right? We have the sports column, we have the media column, I'm sorry, the social media column, or we have the movies column, we have the national news, we have the state news, all this. So classification plays an important role when you have loads of data and you want to classify it topic wise. So for example, say you have a news like, so we have IPL 2021 starting. So that should come under sports news. So you can use classification for that. And the next one is feature extraction. Feature extraction is nothing but, in the beginning, Shrishti introduced me saying that Harni is a lead machine learning engineer at Omdena. That is a text. That is the data, the text data that you have been provided with, right? On feature extraction, what we mean is, what are the features that can be extracted from that piece of text? By saying Harni is a lead machine learning engineer at Omdena, you can extract the name, which is Harni. You can extract the place where I work, Omdena, and you can extract the position, which is lead machine learning engineer. Got it? So this is feature extraction. And these whatever I've spoken about is mainly with a different subject called as NLP, which is natural language processing, where we analyze the text data based on various topics. We either try to associate the text data with one or the other, image data with one or the other. Classification, where we try to classify the text, which topic it belongs to. And feature extraction, where given a text, you are saying you're trying to get the features as much as possible, which is like you get the label. The label is the name. For example, name is the label, and the text is nothing but Harni. So that's how features are being extracted. Now, moving ahead, we very well know that all of us generally undermine this problem of the problem statement. But in my words, if you were to be a successful data scientist or a machine learning engineer in the future, all of us have to be very sure of what is the problem statement. So by what's the problem statement, firstly, understand what is the data that you are trying to use. What is the data that you are trying to use? After the data, understand the objective or the goal. What is the objective or the goal for? Are you going to perform a classification? Are you going to perform an association? Or are you going to perform a feature extraction? These two can be ideally set for a few normal businesses, but I heavily focus on motivation because I believe machine learning or data analytics is also there for good, to solve real world problems. In that way, motivation plays an important role. Know what you are doing. So one of the projects I work with, we are trying to understand and study deforestation, how that affects land ownership. So what's my motivation? I want to understand the relationship deforestation and land ownership share. That's my motivation. And my objective is going to be that I build a feature extraction model or a classification model. And the data I'm going to use, it can either be image, where people have images of the area and you try to analyze if it's a vegetation or it's not vegetation, or you have data in form of text. So yeah, this is I don't know if, yeah. So this is one more thing, overcoming data challenges. When we talk about data analytics itself, is there anything that we can do about data? Absolutely no. I understand that we have different ways of fake data generation coming up, but however, we still do have some data challenges around. And data is the most important part which leads to the success of any data analytic or machine learning project. Say that to just start with, looking at what I have in the slide. What do you guys think about these online resources, overcoming data challenges by online resources? What does that mean? By online resources, I mean Twitter, news websites, Reddit, uh, Google Trends. There are a lot of online resources which are available. And how am I going to get data from all of them? Am I going to write an email to Twitter saying that, like, I need access to so and so data? Can you give me? No, absolutely not. What we will do is we have a method called as scraping. So we scrape the data from online resources like Twitter, Reddit, or whatever, and we have the data set ready. Now, again, while scraping, you wouldn't want to scrape all the data, right? Now, if you look at Twitter on the whole, you will have data from various ranges. Like people will be talking about domestic violence, people will be talking about sports, people will be talking about Diwali, people will be talking about November month, people will be talking about, oh, Christmas is coming, people will be talking about US elections. Which is your area of study? Choose that area of study. For example, if your project is based out of the sports, say you're doing a project on sports, then use specific keywords. For example, cricket, Indian Premier League. So use certain keywords and try to scrape data only based on those keywords. After that, plan the data set, how you're going to be. Now, again, if it comes to data analytics, we have a lot of people who are trying to work on non-English data. And if you ask me, is non-English data really necessary? Yes, it's necessary in a few cases. So for example, when you are trying to assess the economy of India, say that, you're trying to assess what's going on in India during lockdown. What do you guys think? Should we just stick to English data set, or we also go ahead with non-English data set? Non-English data set will include the regional newspapers. Don't you think that's going to be that will add value to our project? Because India is a mixture of urban and rural. So English will cover a lot of data, but if you go to regional newspapers, they're going to give you a lot of information about regional areas as well. So plan your data set. Should it be only English, or should it contain the regional language to that country, or what is it? Go ahead. That's how you plan a proper data set. Now, first one, the next step, you guys have collected the data. How have you collected the data? Using a few keywords, scraping the data, all that. Now go to the modeling aspect. By modeling, I mean, I've introduced you to a few algorithms in the beginning, just to remind: association, classification, and feature extraction. So what are the models that can be used? Let me talk about the two basic learning types we have: supervised and unsupervised learning. What is supervised learning? Supervised learning is a subject where, like you see in the image, someone teaches you. You already have a proper, let's use the word labeled. I hope you guys won't forget this. Let's use the word labeled. So supervised learning is comprised of labeled data set, and unsupervised learning is purely unlabeled. What we mean by that is, say you're trying to classify. Let's take the classification algorithm into consideration. I already have a data set which says that Dhoni was the captain of Indian team. That category it belongs to, it's being classified as sports. You already have that data available, the text and the category it belongs to. Using that, you can try supervised learning algorithms because it's labeled, and they will run your algorithms based on that. Unsupervised learning comes when you don't even have a label, you just have the text. You have like Dhoni was the captain of India. Cricket is a sport. We were playing cricket in Delhi, something like that. You only have text. You have a plethora of text, but you do not have any label. What would you do in that case? You will have to do unsupervised learning, where the model will try to figure out, it'll try to see if this is similar to this, and it'll try to frame topics based on that. You are not providing it with initially with the topics. You are not telling the model, hey, if it contains the word Dhoni, then make it cricket. No, you're not telling the model. In the unsupervised learning, the model or the machine tries to learn it by itself. Now, to give a more insight on supervised learning, right? So like I mentioned, you need a label data set. By a label data set, I just mentioned that you can also scrape data from Twitter. So when you're scraping data from Twitter using a few keywords like, say you're scraping data related to sports and you're using the words cricket, football, like IPL 2020, a lot of other words, and you get all the data. Okay, though you would have used keywords, it doesn't mean that the text, whatever you get, will belong to those keywords only. So you'd have got like say 10,000 of data. Now you would like to perform supervised learning on that, but you do not have labels. It's not a labeled data set. You just have data. How are you going to convert it to a labeled data set? Yes, we can do. We as humans have the power to do that also. That is called as annotations. So what is annotations? We humans go ahead and share, not share basically. If you look at this image, this is a text. It's just a text. What we do, we humans, we say that this North Korea is a location. So basically you have labels and you mark it. You prepare the data set. So humans put in a little bit of manual effort from their end and give a labeled data set. So there is a way to convert an unlabeled to labeled data set. And the pathway to that is annotations. You have a lot of tools available for that in the internet. Those tools will help humans to select that text or classify it and extract feature, things like that. Now, unsupervised learning. Uh, as you guys saw the picture, right? Some people, or there are a lot of people who think, who want to choose supervised learning or unsupervised learning because it gives you better results. You are teaching the model with the data you have, and you're trying to predict on that. But unsupervised learning also has a lot of merits and demerits. Imagine you have about 10 lakh texts of data and you want to clean it up. By cleaning it up, I mean that just have the data which is necessary to your statement maybe, and just remove the unnecessary data. Are you going to sit and annotate 10 lakhs of data, which is like 10 lakh paras of data? We humans, of course, wouldn't want to do that. In that case, we can use unsupervised learning where the machine itself tries to classify the data into different topics. To give you an example, if you say women in 2020 have a greater focus towards professional work. So this sentence will be classified into women based on similarity index and a lot of other things. So in this way, you will get a lot of topics. So if you set your n value as 20, the number of topics, your entire text will be into those 20 topics only. What you will do is you can just ignore the topics which you don't want. Say 10 is what you need and the other 10 topics you don't need. Then just drop the rest of the 10 topics and have the 10 topics whatever you want. So that would be an easier way to, when you have huge amount of data. If you have less amount of data, to go with supervised learning. Otherwise, stick to unsupervised learning because we cannot annotate or label so much. Now build a model. As I already told you, once you decide what is the problem statement, if you are supposed to extract features, if you're supposed to categorize things like that, go ahead with the model what you choose. If it has to be classification, choose a classification model. We have a lot of classification models. If it has to be a regression model, go for a regression model, and so on. Now, though we are okay with that, there is one thing called as choose a parameter. What is a parameter? How are you going to tell that this particular data analytics model will work well? How is that gonna, how are you going to be sure? Let me give you an example. Imagine you're building a classification model to detect if a person is cancer positive or cancer negative. All right. So while determining a parameter, you have to choose a parameter in such a way that it's okay to have non-positive cancer patients shown as positive, right? It's okay because if they are not positive and you give them a report that they're positive, they'll eventually go for a treatment and they'll figure out that they're not positive and things are fine. But you should never have a report saying non-positive going to a positive patient, right? Why? Because when he knows that he or she is not positive, they're not going to visit the doctor anymore, and you know what's going to happen. So choose a parameter like that. Is it going to be the accuracy? We have certain parameters. Is it going to be the accuracy, recall, or precision? So recall, precision are what I told about the cancer positive one. So choose which you want it to be high. Based on that, you choose the best model. Even in classification, there are various models. You have SVM, you have like the Gaussian classifier. There are so many things. To choose the best among those, you have a parameter which suits your problem statement. Like I mentioned, a cancer positive patient should never be given a report calling non-positive, but a non-positive patient can be given a report saying it's positive because yeah, they'll eventually figure out that they don't have cancer. That's how you choose a parameter. And moving ahead, just having a revision of the terms in respect to NLP. Topic classification is something where you're trying to classify which topic it belongs to. Is it going to be sports or is it going to be national news, state news, things like that? Topic clustering is the unsupervised method. An unsupervised method, what I mean is you don't have a label. No one is going to tell you that, hey, this has this label. No. And how are you going to perform unsupervised learning? The model will try to see that, okay, this sentence is similar to me. That sentence is similar to me. What is the topic we have in common? It's the word women. So that's topic clustering. You cluster different texts into various topics. Information extraction is what I just told, where you extract the information from a piece of text, the name, the place, the age, and things like that. And association is something like in association is something related to things like, okay, so I'm using Netflix currently and I am watching this series. You will get suggestions, right, based on your things. And you will also get suggestions on Amazon. If you are a person who bought crayons, why don't you try buying color pencils? So that's association, which is also a part of NLP algorithms. Now, this is specific to image. As you can see here, right, a lot of people, at least I got confused with what is object recognition and object detection. So an object recognition is you're going to tell which object it is. What is it is there in the picture? It's a cat. And object detection is you're going to tell the exact place where the cat is there. So you're going to highlight that part. This is called a boundary box. You're going to be telling that. That is object recognition and object detection. Image classification is, again, you have this famous neural network problem where you're trying to classify an image as a cat or a dog. So that's image classification. When we come to segmentation, this sounds interesting. So segmentation is the entire image will be broken up into several pixels, and each pixel will be given a classification. So one pixel would say cat, the other pixel would say not cat. One pixel would say dog and the other one say no dog. Things like that. So that's segmentation, where you segment every pixel of the image and you assign a label for each pixel instead of looking at it a whole image. Data science myths. So I specifically included this particular slide because I've come across a lot of people on LinkedIn where they say it's like a 100-day challenge or something like that. So the way I see it is, like I mentioned, I have this long experience with the data analytics since my university days. An end-days challenge is not going to be working out. And let's not take it as a challenge, rather a learning experience, because this field is quite vast and there are still improvements being done on this field. So for you to be uh, correct with technology, up to date with technology, you need to do it on a daily basis and not just like 50 days challenge, 100 days challenge is over. No, tomorrow someone will come up with an algorithm to generate data, fake data better. You need to know that also. So end days challenge is not a good thing. And second, get yourself experienced with real world projects. And what I mean by real world projects, do you guys think it's better to do a data analytics project to classify a cat and a dog? Or do you think it's worth to do a project where you're trying to find a relationship between deforest and land ownership using data science? The choice is yours. Recognizing between a cat and a dog is not going to give us anything, right? It's like, why are we even doing that? But when you're trying to um, get a combination or basically a similarity between the land ownership and deforestation, it's of course going to give you something at the end. That one. And problem statement. Many people think machine learning or data analytics is just going to be your data and it's going to be your building models. It's a classification model, clustering model, and so on. No, that's not the right way. The way we see a real data science project is, what is the problem statement we are trying to solve? Only if you understand that, only if you understand the problem statement, can you move further and branch it into different models that we use. And now I would like to talk about one real world project that I have been a part of from Omdena. So we were analyzing domestic violence and online harassment during COVID-19 in India. So what did we do during that time? So just tell me one thing. I gave you guys the problem statement, right? Analyzing domestic violence and online harassment during COVID-19. Begin from scratch. What are the things that comes to your mind? Number one, problem statement. Analyze domestic violence. That's it. Number two, the data. We do not have data. So we built the data from scratch. And by building the data from scratch, where can you find information related to domestic violence? Newspapers, Twitter, Reddit, Google Trends, things like that. We started scraping data. How did we scrape the data? Not just randomly, but starting from Jan to June, because the project was in June. So we did from Jan to June. And Jan to March being a pre-lockdown phase, we thought that would be useful in projection of a graph. So the criteria for scraping was the time period, which was from Jan to June, and the country specific to India. Third point, the keywords, usage of keywords. What are the usage of keywords? Keywords like women, harassment, abuse, domestic violence. We only got the data from those sources. We got it from a variety of sources, like as I mentioned, Twitter, newspaper, and that newspaper were also from English and non-English part. And then we used a few BERT models to convert the non-English data to English data. And then what we did, yes, we scraped all the data, but it was not a cleaned one. All the data does just not belong to domestic violence. When you use the keyword violence, you also get a lot of other texts, which is normal violence and not domestic violence. So we did unsupervised learning in NLP, which is called as topic modeling. So the model was able to give us, like, we set the number of topics to 20, where we got 20 topics for the entire data, and we just left the irrelevant data, like which said like violence or which said Delhi, things like that. We just left it out. We only took the topics like women abuse into consideration. After we built that, again, it was not labeled. So we performed manual labeling so that we got different classification labels like abuse, online harassment, domestic violence, things like that. And we built a model on top of that. So we got a labeled data set. We built a supervised learning model on top of that. That's not all. So we got the categories right, but we still haven't analyzed the data. How are we going to analyze the data from the piece of text we have? We went ahead and tried to extract information like what's the actor's age, the victim's age, and what is the relationship the actor and the victim share, and what was the circumstance where it happened. By circumstance, what I mean is, was it like there were a few instances where the wife was subjected to domestic violence because she was working in a hospital and she might be affected with COVID-19. So the circumstance over there was COVID-19. Another circumstance was the the guy was in he was an alcoholic and he was in a drunken state. So that is another circumstance or a trigger which led to that domestic violence. So these are the information that we extracted from every piece of text. Again, using feature extraction models. It might be a bit overwhelming, but just mentioning the name, it's called as named entity recognition model. So this is how we completed this project. And why I am saying that this real world project gave me a vast experience was because this was this problem statement. This problem statement was given, and we figured out by ourselves how to we build it from scratch. From getting the data to building an NER model, we did it from scratch. And even the labels, we came up with our own labels. What are the information? What is that more feature we can extract from the text? From relationship, circumstance, if the person is mentally or physically challenged, there's a lot of information which can be taken. So this gave me a more hands-on experience with data analytics, I would say. So that's all from my end.
Uh, that was amazing. Moving ahead, we'll take up all the question and answers now. Mentees, you can put up your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A tab. And we already have our first question. Captain, how is machine learning related to big data and deep learning?
Okay. So the way we see machine learning is more of when you have data, which is less. And deep learning is done when you have loads of data and you do not have a labeled data set. Deep learning can be compared to that of how humans think, because we've designed neural networks in such a way based on how humans neural network thinks. So you can see machine learning for a smaller amount of data and deep learning for a larger amount of data and for a better purpose. And big data is, again, by the word itself, big data, right? You have so much of data, and mostly big data is concerned with the tools that you use to handle the data. For example, Hadoop and things. I would say all of the three are interrelated, but they're not the same.
Moving ahead to the next one. What is present situation in machine learning during COVID-19?
So I believe the question is in terms of job opportunity or in terms of algorithm.
Menti, can you please put it up? We'll take this up again.
Okay.
Um, is it very important to be really good in programming?
Um, so basically, Python and R are the most prominent languages that you use. And while building a model, more than programming skills, I would recommend that you have high statistical and mathematical skills, because the models you come across are completely based out on the mathematics subject. So I suggest that you be strong in that. And ultimately, you don't have to be strong in programming when you start, but will get strong in programming once you begin your path with data analytics.
Okay, so in terms of what is present situation in machine learning during COVID-19, this is in regards with the machine learning role.
Okay, so I'm not going to be like, like saying that advertising for the machine learning role. But that said, just follow your passion, I would say, at least from my experience, because the role which is taken into consideration today might not be the role tomorrow. There are a lot of things around it, data privacy and things like that. We never know which technology is going to be down and which is going to be up. 10-15 years ago, CC++ was a thing. Now you know what's ruling. So during COVID, also we do have a few machine learning rules, but I'm not the right person to give a guarantee on this. It depends company wise. That said, even in COVID, we had a lot of projects coming in. Like for example, the analyzing domestic violence was during COVID-19 only. So until you have data, machine learning role will be prominent.
Okay. The next question is, what does NER exactly mean?
Yes. So NER is called as named entity recognition. I repeat, it's named entity recognition. That is an algorithm which helps us to extract features. Like I mentioned, right? Harni is a lead machine learning engineer at Omdena. The name, the role, and the place. So to extract these features, you use an algorithm called as named entity recognition model.
What kind of internships projects should a first year student do if he or she wants to get into this field?
Okay. So I would suggest that you can spend your first year or the first 1.5 year learning things, because I know you can learn it along the way, but there are some really nice super courses there on the internet which you can learn to gain some ML skills, to understand what I mentioned here, like classification, clustering. You can understand them. After you understand, I would suggest that in university, while you're a student, please concentrate on research. So you go to your professor and you ask, how do I pursue research in ML? There are so many things. People are still trying to improve a model for facial recognition. Get involved in research projects while you're at university. And once you graduate, start focusing on the projects from the corporate end. Like the one that I am doing, there is a project where we are trying to use satellite imagery to see what is to prevent human wildlife conflict from the forest. So that's one. All these corporate kind of related projects can be done once you graduate, but while you are in college, try to make use of the research scope available there.
Um, can you elaborate about geometric deep learning?
Okay. Deep learning is so huge. So there's a popular misconception that machine learning came before deep learning. No, it's not. Deep learning came before machine learning. So if I had to talk about deep learning, it's strongly associated with neural networks, and it is for extreme amount of data, and you don't have to prepare a label data set for that. You can just go ahead with a deep learning model and things will be fine. So neural network is complicated, but I suggest that we're strong with machine learning and then go ahead with deep learning.
Many programming language can be used for data analysis. What's your suggestion? Which is the best one?
Yes, of course, I would go for Python and then I would go for R.
How to develop statistical skills?
So by statistical skills, I mean mathematical skills. So while people are talking about the classification models, right, it's going to be more related to mathematics. They're going to use mathematical formula there. Regression model is going to be a mathematical formula. So I would suggest that you stay strong in subjects like probability, linear mathematics, which will help for you to stay strong in statistics.
What does R stand for?
R is a programming language. It's more of a statistical language. It's not used for programming. I'm wrong. So it's not used for programming, but it's used for something related to maths and statistics. R is more with visualization. It's a tool which most of the companies use for visualization of machine learning algorithm and data analytics.
What will be the expectations of an analytics company from an fresher if the fresher is new to analytics profile?
Okay, so by expectations, it would be more of that you stay strong in your basic skills, especially Python, and stay strong in at least one of the areas. Let it be NLP, natural language processing, or machine learning or deep learning. Be strong, fundamentally strong, and have at least one or two projects where you put in your efforts. That is what they expect, and once you join the company, you will eventually learn a lot more things, because this is an eventual process. Like I mentioned, it's not like a 100 days challenge. So these are the expectations they will have. Once you join, you will get accustomed to the way, and if you will be having this is not a problem while you join as a fresher.
What are the job opportunities for a newbie in data science? What companies one should apply for internship?
Okay, so for to be very honest, I would suggest please apply for startups for internships, because you will learn a lot. There's no one who's already built a model and asking you to improve on that. You will be doing everything from scratch. So it's going to give you a lot of experience. So aim for startups. Once you finish, say, 1.5 year of your journey in startup, you can move to your tier 2 and tier 1 companies.
So, what skills or certifications are required for business analyst?
Okay, now this is a mix of data analysis and business, right? For a business analyst, I would say be strong in mathematics and statistics. Apart from that, know what your business is doing. So, for example, when I deal with data from domestic violence, I need to know what is happening, right? But I'm new to business. I wouldn't know, okay, marketing things are there. What should I do with that data? If I don't have that business skills, having data analytics skill is not going to help. So I suggest that you take up a major course in business, and also have a side course where you concentrate on the models and stay strong in max.
Where can we find real life problems and how to start from scratch? One question which I think almost all the mentees are facing out.
Okay, to start with, so let me share my roadmap with you guys. I don't know if you guys have an opportunity to do a project in university, but let me keep that aside. If you guys get that opportunity, please do that way. Otherwise, what I would say is, first, familiarize yourself with machine learning, deep learning. I took up the machine learning by Stanford when I was in my sophomore year, and then the deep learning.ai courses. There are 5 courses. I took up all 5 of them. Once you are done with that, see for opportunities, apply for just not internship roles. Sometimes the research internship roles are undermined. Try for the research internship roles at a few IITs or NITs. Get that. After that, there is a I can talk about few platforms here. For example, there is a foundation called as Girl Script Foundation, where they have Girl Script Summer of Code launching every March. So make sure that you apply for that, where you will get a machine learning project and you can work upon. Secondly, you guys have heard about the famous Google Summer of Code, right? Only students are eligible to participate. Please make sure that you don't miss that. It's going to give you a very much real world experience, because you will be partnered with organizations. So I suggest that you guys work with that also. Girl Script Summer of Code, Google Summer of Code, and what where I am doing Omdena. It's a real world platform where we build projects, and we have projects launching from NLP till computer vision. That's going to give you a whole time experience. It will be a 2-month project where I started from mining data to building an NER model. So Omdena is one such platform, and the other one is Kaggle. Kaggle is another platform. And the fifth one, I would say, for research enthusiasts, please go through the research papers and see what are the untouched areas that you can focus. You can, it's not necessary that your professor gives you the problem statement, but you can go and tell them that, see, I found this, it's kind of like, untouched, undiscovered. Why didn't we do that? So read a lot of white papers, if not long papers, like the 8-9 pages long. Try to read white papers, try to read a poster in the conference, attend more conferences, attend more talks where people talk about deepfake data and things like that, and gather information that would be in the path of a research person.
Okay, so what internships can a medical student do in their first year? Is this in regards with data analytics? Mandy, please put it up and we'll take it forward. Moving ahead, when people talk about deep learning, are they talking about machine learning? If not, then how is it different from machine learning?
Yes, so deep learning and machine learning are not the same. Deep learning is not an enhanced version, but it helps when you have loads of data. So deep learning is the next level of machine learning, I suppose, because it involves more of mathematics, and do you stay strong in your machine learning skills to learn deep learning? So they are different, but it's, for example, addition, and it's like two digit addition and not two digit, maybe one digit multiplication and three digit multiplication. It's like that, to be more
Uh,
precise.
Is there a way in which we can learn data analytics in real world method?
Yes, by that real world method, that's why I say that this is the right time for you to start searching for opportunities. Like I mentioned, Omdena is one such platform which gives you to solve real world problems. Apart from that, you can apply for a lot of um, student intern positions in various universities where the professors are already doing research. They would have enormous knowledge, and you will gain a proper experience there. So I would say, first year, stay strong with your fundamentals, do courses. Second year, go for summer internships in universities, like in IITs or NITs or in some labs where they're trying to build a model. Third year, join a corporate organization, your startups, do it in your startups. That's your third year internship, and your fourth year internship can be tier 2 or tier 1 or startups. But this is what I would suggest. First year, be strong. Second year, apply to intern positions in universities, in colleges. Third year, you jump to corporate organizations.
So, in most of the other courses, we know that certifications hold up a value. Is it the same in the suite? And do we need to do projects instead of certification, or how? What will cause more value?
Yes. So, at least from my end, getting a certificate is not going to matter, but the knowledge that you put in or the effort that you put in to get a certificate will matter. Because these two courses, what I mentioned, helped me a lot. Those certificates are not going to be used anywhere, but the skills still remain alive in my mind. For a person to start machine learning, I would definitely suggest that you get on some hands-on course. You have the Coursera courses, you have the Udacity courses, nano degree scholarships. I suggest these two ones, and also Udemy ones if you want to get a hands-on experience.
How to know we are ready for taking up the real world projects? I know basics of Aisha, AISA, and ML algorithms, but can't make it to the Omdena challenge.
So I believe in everything, every field. There is a point where we have to start. So we might not actually be ready for it, but you tend to learn your skills while doing a project, is what I would say. At least in my case, it was that. If you learn, you can still learn. You can do courses for 4 or 5 years and still not have a live project. So I would suggest that you guys do your course, and once you're pretty confident on the basics, you can of course start doing projects. While doing the project, you yourself will know, okay, so this requires classification, let me look into the classification models. So you will get your understanding when you do projects. So I suggest that you don't wait and get started.
Does a certificate from Udemy add value while applying for a role?
Okay, I mean, as far as I've seen, I don't really think your recruiters look at your certifications, but you rather have interviews, right? But in some cases, yes. For example, if you're applying to a project or a university, there are chances they might look into it. But otherwise, I would suggest that the certification is not going to add any value, but your answers in the interview and your projects will add value.
As beginners, what do you suggest any platform for projects?
Yes, like I mentioned, Kaggle and Omdena.
Wow. I think we all have got the idea about what exactly, as pressures, how can we crack big into this field? Netra says, I'm doing BCom Business Analytics. Next for PG, what can I choose?
So you do have masters for business analytics as well, but again, you get to choose what you want. If you want to pursue a business analytics journey only, please go ahead and enroll yourself in your masters in business analytics, or the rest if you want to do other. I'm not very clear about MBA and marketing, things like that, but in particular with the business analytics, you can go ahead and do your masters in business analytics.
With this, we come an end to the session. Thank you, Captain Harini, for a wonderful session. I would request Yashaswini to take it forward.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shrishti. This was a lovely session. I myself learned a lot, and I hope that all our attendees also enjoyed. So, since a lot of our attendees were asking about learning resources, right? I would just like to mention that we also have a lot of courses, online courses, which are free and which also give out certifications. We have courses from IBM and edX and VMware on our website. So, requesting you all to please go and check out our website and also join us as members so that you can get full access.
With this, we come an end to the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in, and see you all for the next session, My Captain, in collaboration with Aspire for Her. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye bye. Take care.